Brodes Media.
Welcome, my friends. Hello, hello, hello. Let's talk about Daryl Morey, shall we? Before we do, if you are new to the channel, there's nothing else I would love more than a nice little hit the subscribe button, maybe a thumbs up, maybe a comment as well. I greatly appreciate it. We have Coffee with Brodes live streams back in action. We're about 2 months in, and it is beautiful. Can't thank you all enough. How you get access to it is you join the YouTube community membership here for $4.99 a month, and then every Monday and Thursday at 11 a.m., we have our coffee together, and then we also have our Discord chat. All the information is down below in the description if you're interested. And lastly, I'll plug this in as well. Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast. If you want to bring me in the car with you, I don't see why you wouldn't want to. You can. Make sure you subscribe over there. Leave a 5-star rating and a review. Thank you guys so much and enjoy the show.
You know, this offseason's a big one. You know, I owe it to the fans, to ownership, to everybody, to get this team in a place where we're competing for championships, and we obviously didn't achieve that this year. Again, we're very well situated to use all the tools, trade, free agency, draft, to upgrade the team.
That's Daryl Morey yesterday speaking to the media. How do we feel as Sixers fans now? How should we feel when looking at what's ahead of us? Those are great questions, Brodes. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's why I asked them. So let's talk about this puppy. Daryl Morey. Let's start from the basics. Do I trust Daryl Morey? Just speaking from a sense of experience, speaking from a sense of what he had to do when he first got here, how he handled Al Horford's contract, how he handled some of the disgusting slop that he was handed when taking the job, I feel okay. But after listening to him speak, and by the way, there's more than just what he did when he first got here. Those Houston teams that he gets crushed for not winning with went up against Golden State. Do not lose context that those Houston teams pushed Golden State to their very, very, very core. They were going into insane battles with the greatest assembled team in this recent era. That can't get overlooked. I say this all the time about Howie Roseman. Oh, before he won a championship, he can never win a championship, but he's put teams together that can. His job is to put the talent on the roster that, in theory, can win a championship talent-wise. The year in 2022, they didn't win, but what he did to put that team on the field was good enough from a general manager standpoint. They came up just small, but it wasn't for a lack of the idea and the belief and the concept of the general manager. Same applies with Daryl Morey in Houston. All right, that team was giving the Golden State Warriors the best push of any team out there outside of the Cleveland Cavaliers with the one-man show of LeBron James. So I can't lose sight of that. I do believe that Daryl Morey is a sharp guy, and I trust him from an overall sense. Where I am getting concerned, though, is you need to read the room. And what I mean by that is you can't apply one method to every single roster, no matter where you are. And I'm a huge believer in superstars win you championships in this league, and there's a reason why. But what we can't do is pay good players as if they're superstars. Jimmy Butler right now in his career? No. Paul George right now in his career? No. I'm sorry. We just got done paying Tobias Harris too much. He's not worth it. And it killed you. It was your downfall. And what I can't admire is going after it again as soon as you just watched it happen. Now, I think Paul George and Jimmy Butler are way above Tobias Harris, but not at the level of max contract. The Clippers are not giving him a max contract. Pat Riley is ripping this dude to shreds, and they haven't even discussed about the money. They haven't even talked about it internally. eternally. These are some of the quotes that's being thrown around, and I don't know if I necessarily agree that that's true. I don't know if I even believe it, but reality is, if he's worth it, then those conversations already happen. I'm just not a big believer in this is the best way to build your roster now. You need to read the room. And where this current makeup is Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and let's get a real team surrounding them. It's a different era now. It's a different NBA world. I don't know, all right, if Minnesota's going to win a damn championship or not, but Anthony Edwards is a dog. Anthony Edwards is no joke, and that's the Western Conference, so it's totally out of what we need to worry about anyway. But we don't live in a world where you need to go get 3 superstars, and then you have a super thin team, a super thin roster, and you just run through those 3 guys. I don't think that's the way to build right now. Things have changed. You need stars, yeah. Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. Then let's build with just a really strong, solid team. So when you pass the ball around the perimeter, when you double team Joel, you already have the guy that's going to draw all the attention in the world. Now let the ball swing and have real, legit, competent pieces that can shoot the ball from 3, have a real role, and let this thing work. Going after Jimmy, and then this is what irked me more than anything else. He pretty much stated that he really finds joy and he's excited to look for Kyle Lowry's of the world, find Kelly Oubre on a veteran minimum. That's not good enough. That is not good enough. I am bothered by the fact that Kyle Lowry had to play 35 minutes. And then he actually didn't have him play that much because he's 38 years old and he scores 0 points in 13 minutes of play in one of the final frames of your season. That isn't good enough. Kelly Oubre, I hate to break it to all the Kelly Oubre guys, but Kelly Oubre as a starter, especially if you have to pay him money to keep him here, which he did mention his name, he mentioned Paul Reed, not good enough. These guys are not good enough. What you need to do is allocate the money that you're willing to spend on Jimmy or you're willing to spend on Paul George and go get real legit NBA players instead of Kyle Lowry on his last leg, instead of some of these other guys. Like, it's just not right. It's not right. So in a big picture world, I like Daryl Morey, and I have a lot of faith in him. And when you look at his resume, it speaks high volume, and it deserves to be way more respected than just has he won a championship before, because that's not enough context. That's not enough substance. Really peel the layers back on what he did in Houston. Really take a look at it, see who he went up against, watch those series play out. He does a lot of good things. What he did when he first got here was really good. Not just good, it was really good, but he was handcuffed. And by the way, I mean, you frauds out there that tell me Tyrese Halliburton was such a slam dunk and Daryl Morey's stupid for not going to get Tyrese Halliburton, shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. That guy stinks. 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 I take my shot on James Harden any day of the week compared to that. Did you guys watch him play prior to making those claims? I'm watching him right now in the playoffs. You know what he reminds me of? Ben Simmons. You would have paid or traded Ben Simmons for Ben Simmons, while you traded Ben Simmons for James Harden, who does come up small, but he also gives you 40-point efforts and wins you playoff games and leads the league in assists last season with Joel Embiid operating at the nail. I'll take that any day of the week, even if you come up small. Like, that was a smart move by Daryl Morey to not go after Tyrese Halliburton. Come on, man. The Pacers are not where they are because of that guy. And by the way, the New York Knicks, what a joke. What a joke. They get another bullshit favorable sequence where a ball goes off the knee of the Pacers. They call it a kickball, where Jalen Brunson and a foul that's so damn obvious. They go to the replay booth. I want to vomit the pick that was set, and they call call it a foul to give the Knicks the ball. By the way, one of those plays was so traumatic, it led to a Dante DiVincenzo 3. Now, that's 2 games. I mean, I'm not a big NBA is corrupt guy, even though there's actual legitimate history to tell you that there is a problem with NBA refs and it is corrupt. And now that sports betting's real, it's even worse, I'd imagine, behind closed doors. I don't know what to tell you, but the New York Knicks stuff is garbage. It's a flat-out joke what they were able to get away with in Game 2 against the Sixers and now Game 1 against the Pacers. It's actually problematic to the league, and I will make this claim, and I will make this claim every single day until I die. NBA refs need to go to jail. They just need to go to jail. If you feel that confident about your skill set as a referee, then put your balls on the line and say, if I make an egregious call, I will go to jail 10 years to life. I mean, if you think you're that good, if someone said, Brodes, go do a show right now. You got 40 minutes to do it. Go do your thing for 40 minutes. If it's good, you don't go to jail for 10 to life. You know what I'd do? I'd give you the best fucking show of my life. I'd give you A+ shit. And then I knock it out of the park, and then I'm free. I'm good to go. I'd go home to my lovely wife. I'd kiss my daughter on the cheek, and then I'll let my dogs lick my face. It's just as simple as that, because I'm good at what I do. These refs claim they're good at what they do. And guess what? They're garbage jail time. But I digress. I don't like what Daryl Morey is selling us right now. I actually don't hate it from a very general sense. One of the quotes he threw out there was something along the lines of, I'd rather take my shot on some older players if they're 35 and broken down and you have to manage your way through the regular season and hope that they're available by the end of the regular season right before the playoffs. I'll take that over a lesser talented team that's always available for you. And I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that. With that said, that doesn't mean I just pay an old-ass Jimmy Butler. I just pay an old-ass Paul George. They're not good enough to take that risk. The only guy that I'm truly willing to open up the checkbook and say, this is how I'm going to spend this fat-ass paycheck that used to go to Tobias Harris, is LeBron James. That's the one I can say yes. Yes, 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 yes. Now, Daryl says they need a wing who could play in the playoffs. Could that be LeBron James? I hope so. But it seems like it was a direct message to Paul George and Jimmy. I don't like it. I just don't like it. And I've been on the record before saying when you have Joel Embiid, you have to push all your chips into the basket and say, like, we just have to try. It comes with the risk. It might end up backfiring. There's a decent chance it backfires, but if it does pan out, maybe that's the difference in a championship. Yeah, but I don't think it's the only way to go. I don't. I think Maxey and Embiid, the duo, if you're just looking at star production, and Maxey still has work to do, and I'm actually going to play some audio here from Daryl Morey on how it's different when you are the guy and when you take that next step as a number one in Maxey's case. Like, if he is ever going to be that guy, the difference in this league when you see blitzes coming your way and things of that nature, it changes tremendously. But my point is, you're getting enough from Embiid and Maxey. I don't know how much more you can ask for. Now, Maxey wasn't great. Maxey was not great. He had great moments. Maxey wasn't great, and we need to see him elevate. But if we are projecting, and we know that he goes to the gym every day at 5 a.m., has 3 workouts before 1 o'clock, and he's got that killer attitude, then if this is what I saw in the playoffs this year, I should be able to project a different element, a different jump, a different way about going with this business here. So I thought he was good, not great. I can expect better next season. So if we're looking at next season, I think you get enough from Maxey and Embiid. From your star players, you get enough. You were not getting enough contribution from everyone else. And even if you add a Paul George, I don't think you're getting enough contribution from everybody else. If Paul George isn't going to make that much of a difference, where Embiid, Maxey, Paul George win you games as a trio, and then you can live with guys who are non-factors, guys who can't play, guys that are on veteran minimum contracts. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. You need real NBA substance. So taking a look at Paul George and some of his numbers over the last recent games in the postseason. He averaged 22 points in the regular season, 22 and 5, 5 being the total amount of rebounds he had, 3.5 assists per game as well. So taking a look at this postseason, 2024 playoffs against Dallas. 22 points, 8 of 20 shooting, so 22 points on 20 shots. 22 points on 14 shooting, shot 50% from the field that day. 7 points, 33, 15, 18. So are you paying max contract money to a guy giving you 15? That sounds very Tobias-like. 18. I mean, that's what we were hoping for. Don't get this confused here. When we were watching Tobias and said, can we please get 15? That's because we were so desperate he was giving us 0. 15 out of a max contract sucks. 18 out of a max contract sucks. 17 out of a max contract sucks. I could live with 22 if it's efficient and Joel's going off scoring 40. If other guys are balling out their ass, someone has to maybe take a little bit less of a role, right? So 22. I could live with that if it's efficient scoring. And he had 33, which is a good game. So essentially, out of the 6 games, 4 weren't good enough for my liking. 2 were good enough for my liking. No. I came to conclusion. No. I can't do it. I'm starting to get mad. I hate the idea of it. I do. And I like Daryl Morey. I think he's good. That's why I'm upset. I think he's good. If it was someone who was incompetent, who I had 0 belief in, who I think stinks, then maybe I don't get that upset about it. But because I feel Daryl Morey should know better, he's a star hunter. And most guys are. You mock Brett Brown all you want. Oh, I'm trying to build a star. I'm trying to grow a star, a bomber, whatever the hell his phrase was. There's reasons why you go get stars. There's reasons why I don't put a lot of stock in NBA head coaching because stars help you win. But I don't think overpaying for a good player is worth it. And so I don't think if you have Joel Embiid, who's a star, Maxey, who's a star in the making, a good player making a max contract money, and then you're so desperate, you're super thin everywhere else, is good. You're not getting a star. That's the problem. That's what it comes down to is Paul George is not a star. Jimmy Butler is not a star. They're not stars. I mean, max contract level of stars. No. Maybe if Jimmy Butler comes from the dead physically and there's less heat on him, no pun necessary, no pun intended, no pun intended there, but there's less heat on Jimmy here because it's the Embiid show. It's the Maxey show. So Jimmy Butler hanging around with them, and it'll be a Jimmy Butler show, no doubt about it. And I've been big on I want the ball in a perimeter player's hands late in the game. There's no Ben Simmons crying about it in the fourth quarter. Remember, he was the one facilitating the offense quarters 1 through 3, and then as soon as the fourth quarter rolls around, he becomes a non-factor and screws up the spacing so much that Jimmy has to use it. Then there's shot clock violations in the fourth, in Game 7 on the road in the corner. I mean, it was disgraceful stuff because Ben Simmons blows. But anyway, I digress. Jimmy Butler, yeah, I mean, okay, I don't love it, though. I don't love it. I don't think that's where he's at right now. If he was that, why would Miami go no thank you? They make a lot of great business decisions, typically. I know Pat Riley didn't love the fact that he was talking smack to the Boston Celtics and talking smack about teams that are actively playing. Little old school. He threw some jabs, man. Pat Riley was fed up and not happy. And maybe it's a personality thing more than anything else. But I think it's also a basketball thing. Just where he's at in his career right now. Does it make the most sense to throw it all towards him? I say no. Let's take a listen to Daryl Morey in his press conference speaking about Tyrese Maxey. Let's do it.
I mean, I think he probably exceeded mine, which I'm going to, in that the step he took this year is extremely hard and for sure not not a given that he would have done it. But I guess we should all learn not to bet against Tyrese, given he's beat expectations every single season, both prior to coming here and then here. Look, you become the primary guy in the scouting report. That's a huge adjustment. Blitzes, you're the first guy on the film, and maybe sometimes the only guy on the film, especially when Joel was out, how to stop this that he does, how to stop that, how to guard the step back, how to guard the speed, and the fact that he even had a couple of games, especially early when Joel was out, I thought it was quite challenging for him. But to his credit, working with our coaching staff and watching a ton of video and then just getting used to how people are going to guard him, he really took that step forward. But that was, Tyrese gets all the credit. That was not a given that he could do all that, and it's very exciting that he did. So.
Now, here's a question for the people who despise Daryl Morey in totality. He did draft Tyrese Maxey, right? And I know exactly what's coming. Well, he got lucky. Any team could have drafted Tyrese Maxey prior. He drafted Tyrese Maxey. Now, some unfortunate things happened in the world that limited March Madness, and then March Madness wasn't the same. So you didn't have Maxey on the biggest stage making some sexy splashes happen, and then a team willing to maybe take a shot on him higher because they saw him ball out at Kentucky. I'm aware of that. But Tyrese Maxey was a draft pick from him. Doesn't mean every move Daryl has made has been perfect. Like Marcus Morris, I know people are mad about that, Pat Bev, this and that. But I don't think the difference in you winning this series was with the way Tobias played and how that contract was being utilized. If you swapped Marcus Morris for someone else, I mean, Batum won you a game. I'm just saying, like a 4 position. I'm just taking a look at it, just like what Batum could play, if he could play the 4 or this and that. Marcus Morris, where he could play. I mean, if you swap out guys like that, Batum, Morris, Pepe, like that's my point is, those are what Daryl Morey mentioned that he likes to go find. He likes those guys. He likes to get creative, try to find this, try to find that. No. What we need to do is go after, if it's not LeBron, and you're not overpaying for Paul George and Jimmy Butler, what you need to do is get better than those guys and less than the Paul George and Jimmys, whatever that is. And it's a bad free agent class. There's not many names. Klay Thompson's toast. There's just not many names out there. It's a bad year for all this to happen. Maybe you make a trade. Maybe you go out there and you get creative. You utilize some draft picks. I'm not worried at all about draft picks. That doesn't scare me, trading some draft picks. The window is now, right? You got to maximize this window. But if I look at some of the free agent list, which I'm sure a lot of you have looked at, multiple different times a day because it's all I consume. So your NBA free agents, LeBron James, which has a player option, Paul George, who has a player option, Klay Thompson is a UFA, Tobias is a UFA, Harden's a UFA, Pascal Siakam with the Indiana Pacers is a UFA. Maybe there's something to that. The bird rights, though, for whatever that's worth. Some of these guys have bird rights, just giving you that information for whatever reason. Gordon Hayward, Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, Buddy Hield. Now, Daryl mentioned something about Buddy Hield. It didn't work like I thought. He never really had time. And it's not that it didn't. The way he mentioned it, he almost made it seem like it didn't work from a scheme level. I just don't think it worked because Buddy Hield stunk. He just sucked. He's a three-point specialist. He's one of the best three-point shooters. If you give Joel Embiid three-point shooting, and that's what the guy gives you, it's not scheme. And maybe I just listened to it wrong. Maybe it hit me differently than it hit everybody else. But the way he spoke about Buddy Hield, he made it say, it didn't work like I thought. It didn't. Maybe it had something to do with also Embiid getting injured, not having the time to make it work or whatever. But he stunk. He got overwhelmed in the playoffs. He didn't feel comfortable, and that's where it really went south in my eyes, more so than Buddy Hield can't work in a system that has Embiid and Maxey because he's a three-point shooter. If that's the case, then what are we looking for? What are we looking for? You know? All right, let's take some calls from the Anytime Hotline, reacting to how the season ended.
Oh, what a fitting end to Tobias Harris's tenure as a Sixer with 0 points and only 2 shots put up. Congratulations, Tobias. You went soft again. You non-showed once again in an important moment. You had your nice little crumble cookie in Game 5. Well, thanks for showing up for Game 6, Tobias. All the pleasure in the world to you. Go fuck off now into the offseason and get off my team. Yeah.
Wow.
This one sucks. And Game 2 even stings even more because of this, because this should be a 7-game series. I am a firm believer of that. This should be a fucking 7-game series. We should be going to fucking Game 7 on Saturday in Madison Square Garden. But you want to know why you lost today? 3 people, actually. You lost because of 3 people. You lost because of Tyrese Maxey. You lost because of Tobias Harris, obviously. You lost because of Kyle Lowry. Those guys provided you nothing. Absolutely nothing. Yeah, Maxey got a couple of points there near the end, but he was basically non-existent the entire game. I understand he wasn't getting foul calls, and it's criminal that he doesn't get foul calls, but you need to find a way to get around that. You need to find a way. You found a way in Game 5, and you took over that game. Well, you left us blue ball tonight. Joel did everything he possibly could tonight, and people are still going to find a way to complain about Joel Embiid. Your fucking bench actually performed. Buddy Hield actually performed. Batum showed up in this game. Your bench outscored the Knicks bench. How do you lose that game?
Well, I think you nailed it with Tobias, and it's funny now that we're, maybe a week removed to hear the burning passion afterwards. I do love it. Some harsh criticism, and I'm a big fan. I don't get it. I don't get it, and I like the fact that you held Tyrese Maxey accountable, because I love him just as much as everybody else loves him. But, you got to keep it 100, and you can't give Tyrese Maxey a free pass. And you're understanding that he has to grow from it, but I'm just holding him accountable. He had good moments, and he was the second best player in this series. And, you weren't where you were in the series without him, and the 46-point effort and stealing a game on the road. That was a grown-up moment. That was him really taking a step. Without that, I don't feel anywhere as close as I do with this offseason with him. I'm still excited for him, but that game changed the trajectory big time, because that was a huge Stones moment. That was, whoa. That elevated him in a whoa. And he was already close to a whoa. That elevated him to the whoa. So it's massive. That game cannot go unnoticed. But, there's a lot to work on with him. No doubt about it. Let's get to this Knicks thing real quick, because I keep hearing this, and it's really pissing me off. It probably shouldn't piss me off as much as it does, but what I can't live with is the Sixers didn't want it because the Knicks rebounded better. How many times do I have to explain this? I promise you I will make sure that this is close to the last time I explain it like this, but the Knicks rebound well. The Sixers don't rebound well. The Sixers play a different style than the Knicks. Let's say there's a team out there that shoots the ball from 3 very, very efficiently. Let's say there's a team that's number 1 in 3-point shooting. Okay? Let's use that as an example. There's a team out there that shoots the ball extremely well from 3, but they don't rebound well. That's Team A. They play Team B, a team that shoots the ball average from 3, but rebounds their ass off and gives them second chance opportunities to make up for their misses. Team A is winning the game by 10 because of how great they score the ball, but they don't rebound very well. They're just playing their game. The Knicks hustle and rebounding. It's not that they want it more than Team A, who's not rebounding very well but shooting from 3. They're just playing their style. The Knicks' style is rebounding. That's what they do. Go watch Josh Hart play. Go watch the way they play. That's how they play. That's their style to make up for their lack of superstar talent, their lack of anything else, their deficiencies in other areas. And with the Sixers, you can't make up for deficiencies of paying a max contract guy to give you 0 points. You can't make up for the deficiencies of Buddy Hield, one of the biggest acquisitions at the trade deadline, being unplayable coach's decision. They're wanting it more. You have old-ass guys. You can't complain that Tobias Harris stinks and isn't athletic. Batum isn't athletic. Kyle Lowry's 38. And then ask why you can't rebound against a super young, athletic, mid-20 team that has good rebounders. So you bitch your whole time that they're not good enough and they're not athletic and they're too old and their guys stink. And then you get angry that they can't rebound. It's not that they don't want it. It's that they're not competent. That's different. The Knicks hustle and rebound. That's their brand. The other teams play differently. They play through Joel. They win because Joel gives you 50. They win other ways. They play other ways. Doesn't mean they won it any more than you. It's just a different look stylistically. Oh, man, I don't know. That just bothers me so much. Like, how clueless can he be? It's more than effort. Stop with the effort thing. It's the NBA playoffs. All right? They are set up matchup-wise to rebound better than any team they play. They're probably going to have a lot of rebounds in a series where they ultimately fall. They're going to have second chance opportunities against the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals, but the Celtics might still win. It's crazy to me. But anyway, next call.
Oh, Brodes. Oh, Brodes. Oh, Brodes. We're here again. Hello, darkness. My old friend. I'm just glad that we're not going to have to see Tobias Harris again. 0 points 2 years in a row in elimination games. But, look, man, the refereeing of this series needs to be fucking investigated. There's no way that Jalen Brunson, every time he gets touched, it's a foul. And every time Maxey drives to the rim, clearly gets hit in the head. I thought that was a thing this year, that Jalen Brunson, when he stopped in the paint and then it was like a over-the-back sort of foul on, I don't know who it was, Oubre or something. I thought that was like the Trae Young, Luka Doncic were cutting that out to the NBA this year. I don't know. The rules are so inconsistent and it only appeals to the team that the refs care about. So, not to blame this on the refs. The Sixers could have done better, rebounded better, but damn, man.
Well, the refs definitely impacted the series. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It would have been Game 7. I mean, it would have been the 7 games. So they impacted the series. And no, you're right. They did change the rules. The NBA refereeing is a hot topic today. Still, the series ended however long ago. It's still being talked about today because of the Knicks Game 1 against the Pacers. So it's real. They did try and stop that. See, a lot of Knicks fans came after us after the game was over and mentioned how we can't ever discuss foul calls because we have Embiid. And yeah, there's times where Embiid gets a favorable call. The difference is the league didn't say, we are taking this out of the game. And then Embiid continued to do it, and then he started to get foul calls. It's a big difference. They watched the film, they watched the tape, they said, this is no longer going to be efficient. And it became more efficient than I've ever seen in my life, watching Jalen Brunson stop on a dime and have his defender run into him. Stupid. Anyway, all right, those are my thoughts. Appreciate you guys. Love you to death. We'll talk soon. See you on the next one.